It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated with style and durability. You can trust Tervis tumblers to keep your drinks the perfect temperature, hot or cold, for hours. From the classic insulated tumblers to sleek stainless steel water bottles, each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Since our founding, we've been revolutionizing hair removal with cutting-edge technology and a commitment to empowerment. The RG3 launched in 2023 ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. Experience the future of hair removal today at ulike.com, because at Ulike, beauty is about looking and feeling good. That's ulike.com. Ulike. With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects, featuring 468 natural AI voices. Customize the volume, mood, and pauses to perfectly match your content. Plus, capture high quality videos with no watermark. Record your screen, webcam, and voice, and save them instantly to your computer. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Just use AMP-Pace.
AMP-Pace.
It is the Pete Sousa Show. Let's see. We got this right? I think we got this right, dude. I think we're good to go. We are live. This is our last show in Villanova, Pennsylvania of a 2-day stretch. Thank you so much to Crawford Austin Properties. Of course, Slovacic's our presenting sponsor. And my mom is upstairs doing some physical therapy, always getting well. The woman had a stroke, I guess, 2 years ago. And it's been kind of like up and down, you know. But it's cool to come home and see like she's really, you know, she's fighting, man. And so she's upstairs walking on the treadmill, doing some physical therapy. My brother got her the treadmill. Things are it's going up. Mike on point today. That's my man. Bear the Truth. See, that's why I love Bear the Truth, right? Because, well, he's a truth teller, baby. Like I said, I want to thank Slovakics. We got a lot to get into today. We're talking to a former broadcast partner of mine with the Charlotte Hornets, Scott Lauer, a New York native. We are going to look back at the history and talk about past and present. Knicks, Pacers. I mean, that's it. We are so excited about the Knicks, Pacers, at least I am. And Scott had a history of not only calling games in the NBA, which obviously included the Knicks and the Pacers, but also witnessing them as a young kid just outside of New York City. When I listen to Mike Breen call a basketball game, he sounds just like Scott Lauer. Or should I say Scott Lauer sounds like Mike Breen. But Scott learned from the best in New York City and is now retired as an NBA broadcaster, much to my chagrin. I think he should be back involved, but like, what say do I get in Scott's personal life or business life? I get this, but I get him coming up in about 20 minutes. So looking forward to chat with Scott Lauer. Also, we're going to talk about Texas A&M. We promised this segment yesterday. Scotty Swingler talked about it. Texas A&M, their softball team, a number one seed, the number one overall seed from the NCAA softball tournament, bounced by Liberty. That never happens. And going through Twitter yesterday, being now a Texas guy, so much interesting fodder about Texas A&M, how much money they spend, right? And how little they get in return, right? What do they say? Your ROI. Their ROI right now is so we're going to talk a little bit about Texas A&M. Scotty's got some graphics and some stuff. But I got to start with this topic, guys. I didn't think that okay. Ryan Clark and RG3, social media smackdown that nobody asked for, right? I don't even know. I've had experiences with Robert Griffin, and all of them have been like beyond pleasurable, right? In the spirit of honesty, I've talked with people who I've worked with at ESPN who have never had like a bad experience with Robert, but I have heard people be like, there was this. But like, I can tell you right now, let's start off with the positive, okay? 3 years ago, I had just gotten out of like a terrible relationship. And I had to move out of this house abruptly that I was living in with this partner. And it was my own fault. I got myself in this situation. But, like you pack all your stuff up in a car, you've been there if you know what I'm talking about, right? I had put a lot of money into this situation. And we're, like I said, getting a house and stuff. So, I mean, like I was like cash poor. Not like I'm rich in other ways. I was just poor, I guess. So I go back to live in Waco, where at the time I'm working. I was living in Dallas. And my friend Julie Hayes is like, yeah, Robert is putting on a free camp at McGregor High School in Waco. Julie's like, I'd love for you to go and come and be a part of it. Robert would love to have you there. And it was me and about 5 or 6 other dudes who had worked in sports before. This is before I started like full-time doing games at ESPN. So I met Robert. He is like so awesome. He's having so much fun with the kids. This is a free camp. It's him and his wife and his mom's there. He spends all day there, all day, and was so cool with these kids. Talk to them. Like, you can't fake that. And that goes to my statement at the end, what Ryan Clark had to say. Like when Ryan Clark says, RG3 is a phony. By the way, we might have some traffic in here. My mom may be coming through with the physical therapist. We'll just have to play it cool. Okay. But I can tell you that RG3 was not a phony. And at the end of the day, we all got thank you cards from Julie Hayes and RG3. And there were $200 in the cards. Like, as far as I was concerned, we were just doing it for charity. But that like hit me to the core. Like, wow, he did not have to do this. Clearly, he spent money to put on the camp, right? There were all kinds of prizes, awards, you name it, for the kids, right? And now he's paying like, people that have been helping out. Nobody was expecting that, right? So we have here as our graphic the social media smackdown no one asked for. That day, that was the card that no one asked for. And the impact he made on those kids at McGregor, it was all underprivileged kids, right? And he made it seem seamless. So like that is very real. So when Ryan Clark calls him a phony, I'm kind of like, Is he really a phony? Like, I don't know. Like, if Robert Griffin is doing all these divisive, evil things behind the scenes, I'm not aware of it, and I don't know anybody else that is. Is Robert Griffin corny? Yes. Okay. That's okay. You can be corny and still be a great guy. Is he married to a beautiful white woman? Yes. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Is there anything wrong with Ryan Clark being married to a beautiful black woman? No. Okay. But yesterday on social media, all this stuff was called into question. And like when I was in college and when I graduated college, and this is before I got sober, and a bunch of my buddies and I, there were like 15 or 20 of us, right? We had this email chain. We called it the Loop, right? And really what it was an unhealthy place for toxic masculinity. And I'm all about like guys talking. I played football in college and high school, and I love a little locker room talk. And, I can break balls with the best of them. And I have 2 older brothers who taught me how to receive the ball breakage. Okay. So I'm all for that. But when you start to like, and again, this is not in person what these guys are doing, and nor was it with this email loop I had. And on this email loop, I saw, like, again, you got a bunch of 20-somethings and some professionals, some not. A lot of us partying, drinking, using drugs or whatever. I saw these like fights happen on this loop, like, which was like, these fights over email where it would get super personal, but it was in front of an audience. This is like 1999 now, way before Twitter or anything, and 2000, And I remember thinking like, this is so weird and unhealthy. And I got into a couple of those fights, and it made my stomach, like, I'd be so mad at this person, and I was going to let him know with the keyboards, And yesterday, that's what we saw with RG3 and Ryan Clark. And it's like so mystifying. First of all, Scotty Swingler, I need you right here, okay? Because I wrestle with this, okay? Scotty Swingler back in the home office, which I will be back with him tomorrow on Wednesday.
Come on.
I can't tell you how much I miss you, Scotty. But a question like this will remind you. Is this entertaining? Is Ryan Clark and Robert Griffin going back and forth on social media talking about personal stuff that is ugly? Is there entertainment to this?
No, this is exhausting. In fact, when I texted you about this last night, one of the things I said is, wait a minute, I like both of you guys on TV. Could you both shut up? Because I enjoy both of their personalities on television. I think they are both entertaining on television. But the personal crap, man, and then the back and forth of like, this is what kind of man you are, and you're phony, and that. No, dude, it feels like 7th graders. When I was in 7th grade on AOL Instant Messenger,
Yes, that's what I was talking about with my buddies. Like,
yes, exactly.
It's a fool's errand, and it really is. Like, any psychologist or therapist would be like, guys, what in the world are you doing? By the way, there's talk out there, and I don't give any of it any credence because it's on that, it's out there in the social media cesspool, right? Like the real deep end of the pool. But like Ryan Clark, like people are calling for him to lose his job.
That's ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah.
I know. And Robert Griffin didn't help because he said, this is a bad look for you, ESPN. Dude.
Yeah, I don't like Robert going after ESPN. I think that's kind of weird.
Every single one of these guys has their own platform now. Ryan Clark made his initial comments on his personal podcast. Cancel his podcast. Don't listen to his podcast. But then don't call for him to lose his job at ESPN. Like
Does it affect the way? And does it affect the way that you will receive? And because we're always going to have Ryan Clark as an analyst, like somehow in our life. RG3 is back, right in your face this year, which I'm pumped about. The number 2 crew with Jason Benetti on Fox College Football. Does it affect the way you'll receive some of their analysis this year? Because I do think it is, but it's a little. I think you're right, but it does take a minute. It will take a minute for me to like get on board. Like, I still think this is super weird.
Yeah, no. Here's what's it's weird because again, it feels like, and as we've both said, it feels like this middle school dramatic like fight in the parking lot, like because like if both, I hate to use the trope like stick to football because I don't think that's always true. Like RG3 and Ryan Clark both talk about social issues and politics, and like, please use your platform to talk about what's important to you. That's fine. But when I say stick to football, I mean, if like in this case, I want to hear you guys like talk about football. I do not want to hear your beef with this other commentator, former football player. I don't want to hear about it. And I think there's this thing that comes with being a guy that I think can be toxic, and I think in this case is toxic, where we feel this need that we have to defend ourselves all the time.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't want to get into the race baity stuff because it's not my place to comment on that.
For sure.
But like
mine either.
Ryan Clark's initial comments about RG3 and Angel Reese probably overstepped.
Yeah.
RG3 put out a 2-minute video on Twitter like, hey, bro, don't come at my family, which I think all of us who have a family are like, yup, like let's keep professional and personal separate. Like that's important, right? But then they both came back again, like with Ryan Clark, like we know what it is, bro. You're a phony. And I'm like, okay, now we're just like slapping each other in the parking lot.
But that is, and by the way, that's got to be a mega sore spot for RG3 because we have heard that, right? Like he wasn't the best teammate. Like we hear like whispers of that.
Well, okay, and he addressed this when he and Stephen A. had their scuff up three months ago. There is a history of Robert Griffin, and again, not my place to comment on the merits of any of this, but there's a history of Robert Griffin being called like less than black by commentators in the past. Like this isn't the first time a notable sports commentator has come in and questioned like his blackness. And again, it's not my place to make statements of any type, but like you can understand why Griffin would jump in and be like, slow down, bro. Like it's not about my wife, and like I have black daughters, and why are we even talking about it this way, right? Like I understand the initial kind of back and forth, but then the way it's just going to carry on, and this is going to be a topic. I had First Take on this morning, thinking at any moment they were going to bring this up, and
they didn't though. So
I was kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah,
but,
well, I think they're way too compromised with like everything. I don't think now. I can guarantee you that Stephen A. will talk about this on his show,
on his podcast, right?
Yes, he will talk about it on his show. My mom is outside, actually making faces through the window.
Good for her.
Yeah, it's good to know she's doing great. I can say one thing too. This is one thing that Ryan Clark skipped. I've been in an interracial relationship, and I have friends who have married partners, right? Interracial relationships, and they can tell you, that's not a total picnic. People staring at you. You know what I mean? And so that can be something that's different for folks to grapple with, or however you want to say.
Yeah,
so,
dude.
That's not a walk in the park either. It's not like it's like some easy way out. You can look at that we're seeing here.
Yeah, and maybe I'm naive, Pete, but I want to live in a society where you can fall in love with and marry who you want, and it doesn't say anything about your character or validity to have an opinion.
Yeah.
I want to live in a society where you and Nick Wright both got on your shows yesterday and said, hey, this Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark thing would be way more intense if Angel Reese was the same level of player as Caitlin Clark. You and Nick Wright both said that yesterday, and it's not because either of you are racist. It's because we're all watching basketball, right?
Yeah.
I think the temperature gets elevated so quickly around these things, and sports are supposed to be fun, man. RG3 saying Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, that is part of the sports soap opera that is.
If you were, let me ask you one question, and then we're going to move on. If you were a superstar celebrity, right? How would you treat it if you were like RG3? Would you just not respond? Would you just, because honestly, I think that is the move.
Well, I can't speak super accurately because there's a racial component I don't understand. But if someone that was that public talked poorly about my marriage. And Ryan Clark came back and said, I didn't say anything about your marriage. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. We all heard what he said. If someone, I think I would feel the need to publicly, I think RG3's first response was fine. Like, hey, bro, don't come at my family. Like, leave it at sports, leave it at basketball. You can talk about me. Don't talk about my wife and kids. I think I resonate with that really deeply. I think where RG3 and RC both just got off is when it starts getting personal. Like, this shows what kind of man you are, RC. I hope you get well, bruh. And then RC's like, you're a phony. Worst teammate I've ever had. It's like, okay, all right, guys.
Dude, could you imagine?
Take this to a text message. Like, we don't all need to see this on Twitter.
I mean, like, dude, when I was a kid, I just can't imagine, like, if Irv Cross from the NFL Today was going toe-to-toe with Tom Brookshire, who was, like, an analyst for CBS, you know what I mean? Like, if these guys were fighting about, like, if Irv Cross was calling Brookshire drunk, and if if Brookshire said, Irv, when we played together in Philly, you never went over the middle, you were soft. Like, that was, like, so out of the realm of possibility. But, like, here we are. This is such, and I think one of the most fascinating things about this is this new landscape. You know, I work for ESPN. I have this show. Like, now I'm not anywhere, I'm nowhere near like the reception or the lightning rod type ability, or nor do I ever want to say anything, right? That's that toxic that would draw that type of attention to this show here. But like, it is crazy, or not crazy. It's eye-opening, I guess, how much different the landscape is getting really before our eyes. Like, it's amazing. Like, even 5 years ago or 6 years ago, ESPN, they were like, we're done. Nobody talk about politics anymore. You know, and most people did, but then it kind of ramps back up. And now it's just like, you have your own platform, you do your thing, but when you're here, do your job. You know, and pretty much people have abided by that. Like, dude, when I signed my contract with ESPN, there was nothing in there about like, hey, you can't have this show, or you can't have, I mean, and I've
because that's the new media landscape we live in, is everyone has their platform and everyone's trying to grow their following. So here's the bottom line about this too that we didn't even discuss. This drama is probably actually good for both of these guys. Like,
you think so?
They both got more clicks and hits, and RC got more hits on his podcast yesterday, I'm guessing, than he's gotten in a year. Like, you know, and that's kind of the toxic underbelly of this social media. Everyone has a voice publicly, space we live in. Yeah, it just kind of creates this. All right, we're going to table
our Texas A&M thing for the last segment. Okay, we do have some breaking. Hold on, we got some breaking news before we go to break. This is per John Rothstein and Scotty B, the Baylor King. And this is big news. Darian Williams has withdrawn from the NBA draft, but he is in the transfer portal. Now, that's a surprise. So as of right now, as we continue to gather more information, it would seem as though he's not planning on returning to Texas Tech, which to me would be a surprise, because they've kind of put the band back together over there. And I know that he was an integral part of things for them this year. And I also know that he had, from what I gathered, being on the road, covering a lot of these games and calling a lot of these games, Texas Tech games and Big 12 games, he had a real good relationship with Coach Grant McCaslin. And it seemed like, honestly, as Coach Grant would say, they both kind of made each other better. So Darian Williams, taking his name, you know what? We're going to talk to King McClure tomorrow, and that's a question I can't wait to ask him, ESPN's King McClure, because I'm very curious to see what King has to say about that. Because right now, you know, I just emptied out the chamber of my inside information, which wasn't that much. I know that the two of them got along. I know early in the season, Texas Tech lost at home to UCF, and Darian Williams had a rough game. And after that game, Grant McCaslin kind of put the gauntlet down and challenged him, you know, did it through the media, which a lot of great coaches do. And Grant McCaslin is a great coach. And Darian Williams really responded throughout the season. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, this is brand new. first I've seen of it. Scotty B, great job on your end. Scotty Lauer, former NBA broadcaster, one of the best play-by-play guys I've ever heard work. Much to my chagrin, he stepped away from the profession far too early. But we're going to get back with Scotty Lauer and talk about the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers. The Pete Sousa Show, we are on the road in Villanova, Pennsylvania today. This is the kitchen studio that I was raised in this kitchen, pretty much so. There was a remodel that took place in, I guess, 1990, where this kitchen got bigger. That was a big moment for me in my childhood because I got to eat McDonald's every night of the week. All right, Scott Lauer coming back. Pete Sousa Show presented by Slovacic. Stay with us.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. With over 20 years of experience, our expert staff, who've dived everywhere from the Galapagos to the Maldives, provides personalized advice to help you find the perfect gear for any underwater journey. Shop leading brands like GoPro, Aqualung, and Scuba Pro. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.com. At Fullwell, we bring together the expertise of registered dietitians, MDs, and OBGYNs to give you the best fertility support. Our research-backed bioavailable formulas are crafted with your health in mind, ensuring the highest quality and safety. From preconception to pregnancy and beyond, we exceed industry standards with independent testing for harmful contaminants. With our comprehensive practitioner directory, personalized care is always within reach. Fullwell, your trusted partner on your fertility journey. Visit us at fullwellfertility.com. Experience the perfect blend of exquisite craftsmanship and life-changing technology with Gevi. Every product is built with precision, featuring specialized parts that ensure durability, efficiency, and safety. We put every machine through 6,000 rigorous tests to guarantee long-lasting performance. With cutting-edge technology and a commitment to energy efficiency, Gevi makes your life easier, greener, and more convenient. Upgrade your everyday with Gevi. Visit us at gevi.com to discover more. That's gevi.com.
With San, owning iconic furniture no longer requires paying a premium. We use the finest materials like Italian top-grain leather, known for its durability and luxurious feel, and apply meticulous attention to detail in every piece we create. Our replicas are crafted with the same care and precision as the originals, but a price that makes them accessible. With over 15,000 satisfied customers worldwide, we've proven that high-quality furniture doesn't have to come with a high price tag. Explore our collection today at san.com.
At Covers & All, we've revolutionized protective solutions with cutting-edge, customizable covers, tarps, and curtains. Using advanced tech fabrics that are 100% waterproof, UV tear, and abrasion resistant, we ensure lasting durability with hand-sewn double-stitch seams. Our commitment to quality, precision engineering, and customizable options is unmatched. With vertically integrated operations and express shipping, we deliver premier protection at affordable prices. Visit coversandall.com today for the perfect fit, guaranteed to last.
At Open Goal USA, we're revolutionizing training for both soccer and lacrosse with our innovative portable rebounders. Perfect for players of all ages and skill levels, our rebounders improve accuracy, control, and technique in both sports. Built with premium materials for durability and ease of use, they're ideal for training anywhere, anytime. Whether you're perfecting your soccer game or sharpening your lacrosse skills, Open Goal USA has you covered. Visit OpenGoAAALusa.com and elevate your training today.
Relax with Hemp Delicious. Organically grown hemp, massively blended with delicious organic herbs, responsibly sourced for their holistic benefits. Each sip offers calming, antioxidant-rich wellness. Brewed just for you. Sip the calm with Hemp Delicious. Find your blend at hempdelicious.com.
Introducing Muck-Off's classic pink bike cleaner, powered by revolutionary nanotechnology that breaks down dirt and grime on a microscopic level while protecting your bike's delicate finish. Developed by our mad developer Alex and tested by riders, our products are made by riders for riders. Discover more at us.muc-off.com, where we break the mold to bring you the best in bike care.
Get paid faster with Bill, the easiest way to send, receive, and manage your payments. No more delays, no more hassle. Whether you're a freelancer or a business, Bill makes payments seamless and secure, simple, fast, and reliable. Sign up today at Bill.com.
Hey, Scotty Lauer, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
There he is. How do I sound? Okay.
Yeah, it's great to see you. And I love the Villanova kitchen farmhouse look with the hens and everything over here.
This is all my mother's work. This is I'm at Terry Sousa's house right now. She's somewhere around here doing something, kind of being a busybody. You know how that goes, Lauer. You look handsome,
it's funny because before you cleared up the fact that you were in Villanova, I said to myself, that is a damn fancy kitchen there down in Waco.
I do have a nice kitchen in Waco, I swear. I swear. So Lauer, I mean, there's no better time. First of all, you and I just got to catch up personally because we're boys. But so that's long overdue. But there's no better opportunity to talk to you when we've staring down the barrel of Pacers Knicks, a series and a rivalry that means a lot to guys like you and I, because in our real formidable years, these two teams were at each other's throats. And it goes all the way back. For me, I remember, I think it grabbed me in 1994 in that Game 5 when Reggie Miller had 39 points and he does the choke to Spike Lee. I mean, from that point, as the kids say, it was on, right? And then you had, what was it? I guess 99, the Knicks won again, and then they lost in 2000. And in 99, they did it without Ewing. What's your major memory from, I just took you down memory lane for me, but Knicks Pacers, you're a young kid growing up in Westchester, New York. You're dialed in, listening to Marv Albert. What was the big moment for you in this rivalry growing up in the 90s?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the Reggie Miller, choking symbol obviously stood out. What did he score? 8 points in the final 30?
Yeah.
Something like that?
I remember watching it with my dad. My dad, who was hard to kind of get his attention to to watch the NBA, he was like, whoa, what's happening here?
Yeah, so you always have like the vestiges of Spike Lee, jarring and jabbing at Reggie, and then he's responding. But I think overall, too, it's just the main physicality, the Davis brothers, Dale and Antonio, and how rugged they were with, and then you had Oak. Oak was, one of my main guys to root for. And of course, Ewing. And it was tenacious. I mean, it was rough. It was intense. And frankly, I kind of miss those days. I mean, I know like the NBA, not to go off on a tangent, they're trying to address, maybe playoff officiating, the physicality, but I actually like when the refs allow these guys to play like it was similar to what we experienced 25 to 35 years ago. So yeah, the Reggie Miller, I mean, Reggie personifies Indiana and that kind of intense rivalry. Maybe Tyrese Halliburton can kind of be that reincarnated to an extent with Brunson. But yeah, to me, you're right. I mean, being a New York guy, growing up a fan of the Knicks, my great memory was like 94 going to Game 5 of the finals, Knicks and Rockets.
Oh, you went to that?
Yeah. That was actually the night of the OJ Simpson chase.
You were in the Garden?
Yeah, because I was interning for the NBA broadcasting department, and I was shadowing the international TV feed by the director. Brian Sheriff was his name. And toward the end of it, I ended up just going out and sitting and watching some of the game itself. And then all of a sudden, eyes were fixed over to TV monitors where the OJ chase was going on. So it was kind of a surreal evening that I'll never forget. Yeah. So that has to top my all-time New York Knicks experiences, unrelated to the Pacers rivalry.
Do you have any memory of what was going on inside the arena? Just like, because I remember, Costas was, going live pregame. There was just so many moving parts where NBC is trying to do the right thing, right, by their fans and by folks that are following this chase. And then we have this Game 5 that's being played. Do you have any memory of like the buzz inside the arena?
Well, I don't know if most fans, at the time, the cell phones weren't that prevalent, right? 26 years ago, as much so. I happened to be sitting in a row kind of in the suite area with all the TV monitors. So I guess the average fan didn't have monitors in front of them.
Yeah.
And I think I vaguely remember just seeing, the subtitles, the crawl, trying to describe what was going on with the chase. So I don't think I really knew exactly what was going down other than the headlines just gripping my attention. So I had one eye on the court and one eye on the TV monitors.
That's amazing. So, and that's 1995, right?
That was
94,
right?
94.
Yeah,
and the first, and which would have been amazing because the Rangers had just won the finals that year. The New York Rangers did. And they won the Stanley Cup. And, that was the first time the Knicks had been to the finals since 73. So that was just an amazing time, right? In New York, and as far as sports were concerned. When you watch these series, I want to pay you a real compliment here. When you watch the NBA, more and more, Scott, all the work you did calling games in the NBA for a decade or more with the Bobcats and then the Hornets. You sound like Mike Breen. Mike, do you ever notice that? Did you channel Mike Breen as a play-by-play guy?
Yeah, he was my radio play-by-play idol. I grew up listening to him on WFAN doing all the Knicks games. And so like even one of his old sayings that he'll bring out occasionally, he'll just say, that's good. Something clean and simple like that. But when I was at Ithaca College, I remember I was stealing that, that's good. That to me was my signature thievery for Mike Breen. Paying homage to him.
Yeah.
But some people would be like, "No, you sound too much like Mike Breen with that call," or then
people would say that to you.
I remember, my couple of my buddies like, that's Mike Breen, kind of half joking, but or maybe you got to come up with your own shtick, or the Marv Albert cadence is always going to seep in when you're a young New York broadcaster until you try to find your own style and personality. But yeah, Mike Breen is just fantastic. On the air, off the air, absolute A+.
An absolute A+, an A+ of a dude too. I remember you introduced me to him, and you were like, and I remember showing him where something was in the bowels of the arena in Charlotte, and he was just so cool. Well, one more thing on the Bobcats before we jump into this season presently. So I was afforded the opportunity. I was in and out for like just a couple of hours. I was in Charlotte, and I talked to a bunch of the lawyers in Mecklenburg County about drug addiction and recovery from it, right? Just because they needed someone to talk to them about addiction and recovery and put a positive message to it. So these attorneys could get what they needed as far as like a criteria and an understanding for, some of the folks that they're dealing with. But to break the ice, John Woodman, if you remember, Woody the Wave Man from the Bobcats, he introduced me. And so the first thing I said was, I know John and I know each other from the Bobcats. You remember Rufus Lynx, the mascot, and the orange and the blue and Emeka Okafor. And I said, that wasn't our fault, I promise. And everybody, I got a huge laugh out of it. Like the Bobcats organization is still infamous, right? In the Queen City.
When were you in Charlotte?
Just for literally on Friday. I was in there for a couple hours, and then I got there in the morning, and then I flew right up to see my mom where I am today. Okay, otherwise, you would have been my guy. I
was going to say, I would have given you a lot of grief if you blew me off like that.
No, I was in and out.
All right.
In and out. All right, so, I want to get, because I know you're watching all these games, and I'm curious to get your take on, when we look at, the odds right here, right? Oklahoma City is a favorite, overwhelming favorite right now to win the title. The Knicks, this is FanDuel updated. Knicks are plus 460, T-Wolves plus 650, Pacers plus 700. That's at least what I have. Are you surprised that, because last week, okay, like just last week, the Knicks were, I think, a 9-1, right, to possibly beat the Celtics, or a week and a half ago or whatever. And now they're the second favorite to win the title. How do you feel about the Pacers being such an underdog, right? I think the line for tomorrow night's game is Knicks minus 4.5. Do you feel, I guess that's a long way of asking a question. Do you feel good about the Knicks and the fact that they're favored now to make the NBA Finals?
Yeah, because I mean, I think, look, going up against, of course, a healthy Tatum and the Celtics, even though they would have beaten the Celtics had Tatum lasted it, but that was a surprising effort. But now the path is so much easier, excuse me, in this round. And I love Indiana's stick-to-itiveness, and I can appreciate, how hard they play and the coaching with Carlisle, and they're never down and out, kind of like the Knicks. But Indiana's, they've gone through an injured Cleveland team in the last round. And again, I'm not trying to take away from them. And even before that, Milwaukee not at full strength, and they're not the deepest, most well-rounded team. So I think the path to get here was a little bit easier for them. I think what New York proved in the last series, they can beat anybody at any place. And I clearly thought Boston was going to make the finals again. To me, New York is just a tougher team overall, and I'd be shocked if they lost the series. So I think it's more of a case of matchups. You're right. The interesting part is they were like 9-1, as you said, heading into the Boston series. Now they're prohibitive favorites, but I think it's because of who they're playing. And again, I give Indiana great credit. 2 straight years in the Eastern Conference Finals, but to me, New York feels like they're poised and they're ready.
How do you feel about the Knicks? I still, it's funny, dude. I'm sitting here right up the road to Villanova, right? I'm dyed in the wool Villanova guy, right? I bleed blue. I still, at the end of the game, and I know that he's produced, but when I'm like, is Jalen Brunson really the plan here? Are we like? I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like the Knicks in crunch time and Jalen Brunson being the guy.
You still aren't sold on Brunson?
I know.
It's your run in New York, what he's done.
He's an amazing player. There's no question about it. First team All NBA, I believe. But yeah, I guess I guess you know what it is. It's the size thing. It really is. I still discriminate on and I've watched all the games. Like I'm a witness to it, but it still feels sort of strange that he's your guy with 10 seconds left.
I know. I mean, and that's why he was a second-round pick. He didn't fit the mold of what an NBA player should look like in his underwear, right?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to a lot with evaluation in some people. And even now, years into the league, you look at him and it's a marvel. It's like how if he had the physique of Russell Westbrook, everybody would say, of course he's a surefire Hall of Famer. He should have been, a top pick. But sometimes it's more than just look. And I think his guile, his footwork is extraordinary. He is such a heady player, obviously a phenomenal character guy, but making the clutch shots. Yeah, I think I still think some of us are non-believers because of the physique, but we have to move past that. Ultimately, to me, he is the most intriguing player left in the series, in the finals for each conference. I'd rather have him than anybody. That includes Anthony Edwards. I mean, as amazing as his athleticism is, I trust Brunson more than anybody else. And I love Halliburton too, by the way. And he's smooth and he doesn't fade away from the moment. But to me, I mean, now Brunson's the guy. In the last minute of a game, I trust him more than anybody.
What do you make of you being around the NBA for as long as you were, traveling with the team, being on the buses, the language, how guys, all the notes. And to see Halliburton be most overrated, voted by his peers, right? What do you make of that? Where does that come from?
I think it probably just comes more from maybe the fact that he's a little polarizing, possibly in his personality. Because no, he's not the most overrated. I mean, look what he's done in the last 2 series in crunch time. No, I mean he hits big shots, and yeah, he had a down stretch to start the year by his standards. But I think again, he can play a little bit of the villain role, and maybe that rubs some people the wrong way. So I really didn't think much about that, other than the fact that it was somewhat unfounded for him to get that label.
Who are two? Give me 2 guys who need to step up for the Pacers, for them to upset the Knicks and win this series.
Ooh, I mean, Miles Turner's been playing really well. He's going to have to continue to play very well. And I could see him matching Karl Anthony Towns in production for sure. I would say, more kind of X factors, like Nemhart's had a really good run in shooting. I think, he needs to be very consistent. I've always been intrigued by Aaron Nesmith because I've just loved his tenacity. And again, it's a big if, but if the shot is falling for him, he's a definite plus player. So I think you're going to have to get a lot of that type of production out of those guys. And, somebody like out of nowhere, like an Obi Toppin having a great game or two. And he is capable of that as well. But I'd be stunned if the Knicks don't win fairly easily. In fact, I'm going personally Knicks in 5 and OKC on the other side in 5.
Really?
Yeah.
So, all right. So Knicks OKC in the finals. Who you got?
Yeah, no, I picked OKC preseason to make the finals against Boston. I love OKC. I'm going with them all the way.
You are.
I think their last series will prove to be the most difficult in their postseason run. Yeah.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: one more close to home because it's close to home for us too. The Charlotte Hornets, they pick 4th in the draft. Okay. We got a guy. I got a chance to call a bunch of his games. Got to be around him, just body language, but and I didn't go home with the guy. But great kid, VJ Edgecombe. Yeah. Have you watched him? What are your thoughts on him and a possible fit in Charlotte?
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the games. It would have been cool to watch some of the games you called.
Yeah.
I've watched some highlights of him, and I've watched him just here and there in March Madness. He seems to be a guy that's got a clean stroke that can go downhill aggressively with that athleticism. From what I've seen, he seems like a very intriguing prospect. So I can see that being a fit. I've never had the philosophy, though, when you're drafting to worry about your current roster. I know people want to say, well, maybe Edgecombe would fit well with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller here. And to me, you just draft the best player and then work things out. It's the old
if
Michael
you suck,
Jordan draft.
right? Especially if you suck. I mean, that's,
Yeah, but again, I mean, how can you not harken back to the MJ draft? I mean, that embodies why you don't worry about fit. Portland had Clyde Drexler. Okay, we don't want another wing. We're going to bypass MJ and get Sam Bowie because we need a big guy. No, you take the best player long term, and then things work out. That said, and I'm probably in the minority here, the guy I really like in this draft that I would take it for is Con Knipple of Duke. And I know
really over VJ.
Sorry,
over VJ Edgecombe, huh?
Yeah, I mean, again, I haven't poured over the tape of VJ, but I've watched a lot of Con Knipple, and part of me, has the hesitation. Well, can he develop to be a great player? Maybe an Edgecombe has that potential, but we see time and time again, if you take really good players that are young like Knipple, and he seems to have the great work ethic and high character guy, you're going to be reassured because he's going to reach his potential. It's kind of like a Jalen Brunson. Like, the work ethic was always there. He was always going to be demanding of himself. You didn't have to worry about him. He was going to get better in his own right. And Con Knipple is an ace shooter. I think his offensive game can open up even more. He's heady. I would love to have him on any roster. He's a winning ingredient.
That's broadcaster bias by you. You just want to get back in the game so you can say Knipple over and over, right? I got one more for you. If you were to be an advisor to VJ, right? Because again, I'm going to stick with our guy here in Central Texas, right? Yeah. What would you tell him about playing for the Charlotte Hornets? Like now there's a lot that's changed inside that organization, but clearly, unfortunately, that was where great basketball players went to disappear, right? Mm-hmm. Over the course of the past, it seems like forever. I mean, as long as I've been involved, right? You had guys that came in there and made a difference, some free agents. Steven Jackson comes to mind, obviously Gerald Wallace, but Charlotte's been a tough spot for folks, Kemba, amazing. But what would you say about going into that organization? How would you caution someone?
Are you on VJ's agency team here?
No, I love the kid. And it was funny because our producer, my man Scotty, who's back in Waco today, Scotty loves Baylor sports. He's extremely knowledgeable, Scott. And when there and Scotty said the first thing when we were talking about VJ going to Charlotte, he said, "Oh, I don't want him to go to Charlotte," because, and that's the national conversation. Like, things change, but you and I both had real up close and personal hands-on experience with that place. There was a lot of dysfunction. How do you feel about it now?
Yeah, and of course, I'm literally 10 years removed from the organization and the inner workings, and I know everybody's essentially turned over there from ownership down. So I think it's safe to say it's a better situation now than it ever was in the previous 20 years. Look, I think you can still harken back to the good old days of Charlotte Hornets basketball. The infancy and the expansion.
Yeah,
and you're talking late 80s and early 90s, and the major buzz, no pun intended, and the affinity that like Muggsy talks about, and the fans were all behind them. And I think when you start winning anywhere, that is the culture changer. So if I'm VJ in his camp, I'm really not that worried and concerned.
Whereas 5 years ago, you would have been, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a pretty good endorsement. I like what you said. Like, it's as good as it's been in the last 20 years, because the changes are really, they were happening, but now they really seem to have all come to fruition. It seems kind of brand new, people that are in positions of power there.
Yeah, look, I mean, we could do an entire 3-hour podcast.
Which we might, by the way.
Right. And you've always had this idea. And maybe only a few would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I certainly would.
Dude, I want to do a 10-episode podcast about the first 10, or maybe just the first 5 years of the Bobcats. Just like, I mean, it was just such an interesting situation, and here comes Michael Jordan. He's going to rescue it. Well, ultimately, he probably made it worse. There's a lot of meat on that bone, pal.
Right. I mean, so when you go back 15, 20 years, we all had stories of coaches giving their sons time to coach every week and hiring or signing friends to play hoops. And
Kevin Burleson's an assistant with the Knicks, dude.
Wow.
How many shots did Kevin Burleson make that November? Do you remember?
Well, I remember he missed 28 straight shots. And it was comical. And a great guy, but no business being.
Well, that was when our boy Eggman. He said he was one of the number one scouts in the Bobcats organization, old school New York guy. He said, "Man, this friends and family shit, it's got to stop, man. It's got to stop, or we're all going to be unemployed."
Right. It was not run like an NBA franchise. So for all the VJ Edgecombe fans, right? This is not the same old Charlotte Hornets. So if he goes to Charlotte, I wouldn't have negative feelings and hesitation about him succeeding.
All right, Lauer, you're the best. We got to roll. I got one more segment I got to get in.
Good seeing you, man.
To you, brother. We'll catch up soon.
Talk.
That was great.
We'll talk. Always fun.
Thanks, Scotty. Scott Lauer, NBA broadcaster, good friend. Wildly talented and just one of the cooler dudes out there. All right, quick break. And when we come back, we're going to try to figure out why Texas A&M doesn't have a trophy case with title after title after title after title, because they're certainly spending a lot of money. We're going to tell you exactly how much after this break. Pete Sousa Show continues, presented by Slovaceks after this.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Cleanse your body of accumulated toxins and embark on your wellness journey at your own pace. At Global Healing, we provide premium supplements to help your body heal naturally. Combine that with OrganicHemp.com's top quality CBD for ultimate balance. Start your healing journey today at GlobalHealing.com and OrganicHemp.com. Unlock a world of convenience with Mully Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your tastes. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. At Toussaint's, we understand that maintaining a healthy lifestyle can be challenging, especially in today's fast-paced world. That's why our mission is to make fitness accessible to everyone, anywhere. Committed to excellence, we adopt a user-centric approach guided by ergonomics and medical science. With a team of seasoned professionals in R&D, design, and manufacturing, we prioritize quality across our entire product line. Visit Toussaints.com today and start your journey to better health. That's TOUSAINS.com. BizChair.com. Your one-stop shop for premium commercial furniture that blends quality with affordability. From ergonomic office chairs to durable restaurant seating, we cater to diverse industries including corporate, medical, hospitality, and education. With over 20 years of experience, we offer fast shipping, exceptional customer support, and furniture solutions that stand up to high-traffic environment. Elevate your space with BizChair's vast selection of stylish, reliable, and cost-effective furniture. Visit us today at BizChair.com to transform your business. At Mitzi, we believe the right light can transform any space. Born from a third-generation lighting family, we craft beautifully designed, premium lighting that's made to be affordable. Inspired by Grandma Mitzi's eclectic style, we're on a mission to make high-quality lighting accessible to all. Whether you're updating your space or adding a unique fixture, Mitzi has the perfect design for you. Beautiful, well-made lighting without the high price tag. Discover your perfect light at Mitzi.com. That's MITZI.com. Mitzi. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. The grinder mentality that Randy and Brent Habert built into 44 Pro runs deep within our team. Every member shares a passion for the craft, the game, and most importantly, the player. When you step onto the field with a 44 Pro custom glove, you'll feel the difference. It's not just a glove, it's a 44 Pro. Crafted with dedication, made for performance, and built to last. Get your custom glove today at 44pro.com and experience the 44 Pro difference. That's 44pro.com, 44 Pro. Welcome to Kitbag, the ultimate destination for football fans. Whether you're cheering for Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, or any other top club, we've got your team's colors running through our veins. From official replica kits to custom player prints of your favorite stars like Ronaldo, Messi, and Kane, Kitbag is your one-stop shop for all things football. Powered by Fanatics, we deliver to over 180 countries, ensuring you get the gear you need fast. For true football passion, think Kitbag. Visit kitbag.com today. That's KITBAG.com. Kitbag.
All right, a couple things before we get into Texas A&M. Mom, have you played any Words with Friends with the Pope lately? What's that? I think we have an answer coming on the Words with Friends with the Pope. But for those of you watching for the first time, my mother plays Words with Friends with the Pope. Now, she played Words with Friends with him long before he became the Pope. And since, Mom, there you are. I'm talking to some people. Come here. You want to go? Have you played Words with Friends with the Pope at all recently?
I don't want you to tell people.
She doesn't want me to tell people. Why? That makes it almost scandalous. I mean, you guys are just playing Words with Friends. What's your experience with Pope Leo? Great man?
He's a wonderful guy.
Would you want to come over and say hi? You look beautiful. Just come over. It's everybody. Come over. Say hi.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Come on. Mom, just come say hi, please. Everybody, people are really calling for you. Just come say hello. Come say hi. Hi. Look, there she is. Mom, do you like, so your experience with the Pope, playing Words with Friends,
This is not fair. I don't want to do this.
All right, you don't have to do it. But how much how much does it mean to you to have an Augustinian priest be the Pope?
I've been working with the Augustinians since I was 16 years old. So it means a lot.
Since you were 16? Yeah, and so like what do you think it does for the Catholic Church having a Pope from America? Like, does that really make a difference?
With this Pope makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. He is just like you read and see him. He's so down to earth. He's an incredible person. He's humble as can be. He's intelligent. He's just, I can't say enough good things about him.
Yeah, I think you've kind of said it. Were you disappointed that none of your boys became priests?
No, that was up to them.
Okay.
I really thought Peter was just going to have to do that because he had no other choice.
Mom.
But
so you feeling good this morning?
he found someone who could put up with him.
Yeah, Christy. Mom, you look great.
Would you stop it?
You really do. But no, people are like, this is our buddy Brian, right? He's a Catholic. He's from Chicago. And he said, Words with Friends update. He watches every day. So, I mean, people are curious. People are enthused about this. All right.
I had a stroke and I'm very conscientious.
But you look great. Yeah.
Stop.
You do.
Okay, stop it.
All right.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can go. I love you, Mom.
I love you too.
All right. There you go. That's it. So there's your update today. And then we're about to, Scotty, let's do this Texas A&M thing. You there?
I'm here.
I mean, I had to make time for that.
Bro, I've got the biggest grin on my face that whole time. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great. Awesome. Could you hear it okay?
Yeah, we could hear her. That was great.
Oh, awesome. All right, so let's go over this real quick because I think that our friends that say Giga might need God too. There's a lot of frustration for them, right?
They definitely need God. You can't join a cult and find God too closely. So, no, okay, for real. But I texted you the other day or talked to you the other day because I had seen this chart on the left. I'm going to show you these charts real quick. This chart on the left, I thought when I first saw it, it just said athletic department spending. And I was like, oh, my God, look at Texas A&M. But that chart on the left is how much they are spending in severance pay, a.k.a. what they are still paying Jimbo Fisher. Jimbo Fisher, of course, taking the Charlie Weiss route to getting rich and coaching so well until you get the big contract and then you get paid to do nothing. But you compare that chart to the chart on the right, which is their 12th Man Foundation donations that helps fund their NIL, and it is dipping year over year, 3 years running now. So those two things combined don't look great. I did go ahead and look it up. Texas A&M, according to USA Today, in an article last year, was 7th in the nation in athletic department budget. And as we talked about, their softball team was just eliminated by Liberty in a big upset. And they don't have a lot to show for it on the football field or the basketball court either, if we're being honest.
So, by the way, and they just lost. They were eliminated in tennis to Georgia in the NCAA 4-0. Thank you very much, Scotty B.
And I did want to give, since Scotty B gave a shout out, I wanted to throw up another tweet I found this morning as I was doing research for this bit. Scotty B put this out in December, and I thought it was wonderful. Thanks for this, Scotty B.
This is Texas A&M football spending money, yet they can't perform better than 8-4 typically.
Look at that pile of cash just burning away, Pete. Burning away.
Let me ask you this. This is for Baylor fans, and I'm curious. How much more money did A&M spend than Baylor last year? Do we have that anywhere?
So Baylor doesn't have to disclose, right?
Because they're private.
It's a private school. But let me see if the internet has a guess. Give me just a second.
Yeah, because I'm curious to see. They are working with just piles and piles of resources. And other schools around the country are not. Now they're in the SEC, so they do get more money on a cyclical basis, right? more money than teams in the Big 12 will get.
Yes, that is true. No, it's not immediately available on the internet how much Baylor's athletic budget was.
All right,
But
we'll work on finding that.
It's not close to A&M's or Texas. I
Okay.
know that. Like we just know that's how that works. But I had to wear the shirt today just to remind our friends in College Station that we're still filling up our trophy case in football, basketball, women's basketball when we can. So.
What else is going on with you? Anything else?
Oh my gosh, Pete, you're gonna ask me at 11:01.
Anything happen? What's happening?
Nothing's happening, man. I'm ready for you to get back tomorrow, and ready for a little Memorial Day action on Monday.
Okay,
that's good. What else? This is a slow time of year for me. You know, I talked about soccer a couple weeks ago because that's what late spring, early summer is all about, and nobody watched those videos. So we're probably never going to get to talk about soccer.
We can talk about soccer again. That's you could talk, mom. You have to turn the water on.
I did. I have been texting you. We need to get you to an FC Dallas game.
Yes, we are going to go to an FC Dallas game, and I gave you an opportunity, and it was your daughter's birthday. So
I mean, I feel like if I'm going to have one excuse all year, that's a pretty good one.
That's a good excuse. All right, we're back tomorrow. King is supposed to be a part of the show. By the way, this is kind of King McClure is a model now. We're going to ask him about that tomorrow. He's kind of like it's kind of been like a soft launch, but yeah, there's some stuff to talk about with King. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say that, but we'll talk to him about it tomorrow. All right, about to hit the road, everybody. Thank you so much. Pete Sousa Show presented by Savachix. Thank you, Scott Lauer. Thank you, Mom. We'll be back tomorrow better than ever. I don't know if it gets any better than that, though. Take care.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.